Hi everybody, Kevin DeBrita from Finch Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. I am currently sitting in a 2020 Cadillac XT5 Platinum. I've got a couple of customers picking this up this week, and I thought I'd do a quick video of the interior and some of the features just so they can become a little more familiar with the vehicle once they take delivery. Let's start kind of off on this side, and then we'll pan around, spend a little bit of time with the driver information center as well as the radio and climate control systems. Starting over on the driver's side, lock and unlock buttons hiding up here at the top. Memory seats set. Driver number 1, driver number 2, and our easy exit position. So to program these seats for this vehicle will program your side view mirror positions on both the driver and passenger side, steering wheel position, and seating position. Your rear view mirror is still a manual rear view mirror, so you just position that in the spot where you'd like to have it best. While we're talking about the rear view mirror, we've also got our rear view mirror live streaming camera. Phenomenal feature, and I'll show you a few adjustments on that as we go through our options. To program your memory seats, just hit the set and the number at the same time. You'll hear those beeps, and now we've programmed driver position 1. Little note about the easy exit position. It's a programmable feature which will be the same for both drivers. You can have the steering wheel move up or down and the seat move back and get it in a more comfortable position either to exit the vehicle or to have a more comfortable position for easy access getting in. On the top, we have our mirror controls. This locks out your rear windows in case you have any kids in the back, or if you have pets. I find sometimes they put their paws up here and that causes the rear windows to go down. So you can lock out your rear windows. Power folding mirrors, that's this right here. We can close your mirrors and open your mirrors. Auto express windows for the front, regular windows in the back. What that means is you can just push that window switch down and it'll go all the way down, and you pull the switch, it'll go all the way up. Sometimes with the auto express, you may notice when you start pushing this button, there's actually 2 little spots. So if you don't click it all the way down, it'll go down and then stop. If you double click it all the way down, it will go all the way down. Sometimes what happens, people trying to get the vehicle window in a certain spot, pull it all the way up, pull it up again, and it'll stop. That's if you're not using those little notches that I can feel right now using the power window. So just a quick little power window tip. Over on the side, our electronic emergency brake, parking brake is all electronic right now. So when the vehicle is stopped, if you push the brake, it'll activate the emergency brake. You see that it's activated itself. And then to deactivate it, put your foot on the brake with your foot and push the emergency brake, and now the emergency brake or parking brake is released. If you were driving and push this button, it would act like an emergency brake. So you push it and hold it, it will stay engaged. As soon as you release, it will release. Something good to know, not that most people are using their emergency brakes these days, but it is there and that's how it works. Dash intensity lights, depending on how bright you want your dash or radio at nighttime, you can turn that feature up and down. It does not have any effect during the day. And then hiding over here is our heads-up display controls. So we have our brightness intensity, the information that we're looking at, and our heads-up position. So I can see if we can see it right here. I can move the position up and down. See that we can't see it anymore. We'll move it back up. There we go. And so now we can see all the information while we're driving. We can dim, just in case it was too bright. We've dimmed that right down. And I'll pull it back up for us so we can see. And then information, that's the middle button. As we flip through that, you can see that we've got our speed there, as well as our speed limit. It's also got our lane keep assist feature highlighted. There's no phones connected right now, that's why it says no device. And we have our compass and then our tachometer. So a couple of different screens you can play with depending on what you want to see in your heads-up display while you're driving. Looking at the steering wheel, Up and down, this is for your radio presets. Once you have them programmed into your radio, you can flip through those using these buttons. Over here, we have our heated steering wheel. Lane keep assist. So lane keep assist, if you're not familiar with the feature, while you're traveling over 60 kilometers an hour, it will use the camera in the vehicle to ensure that you're staying between the lines of the road. It is not designed to keep you in the middle of those lines. It's just designed to prevent you from leaking off on one side or the other. So it's a great feature to have. If you start getting too close to one of the lines, it's just going to nudge the steering wheel a little bit back so that you stay on the road. Great feature to have. Above that is your forward collision alert. When we use the forward collision alert button down here, you'll notice the gap adjustment shows up there. So if you find that you're getting too many alerts or notifications, you can lower that gap. I'm going to leave it on the largest gap. I drive that in my vehicle, and I notice that I don't get too many false alarms. Although be aware of a false alarm because it can happen. Forward collision alert is going to notify you both in the seat. On the driver's side, we have a safety alert seat that will vibrate the seat cushions when your forward collision alert is activating or notifying you. Also, your parking sensors, they will vibrate as well as some of your other safety features. Forward collision alert we just talked about. I think I got those details. Let's start over here. So we have our voice button, so we can talk on the phone or use our voice control for the vehicle. Change the radio station. You can do that by voice. You can also search songs if you have your phone plugged in or a USB port plugged in and you want to access your music that way. Another cool feature about this, if you push and hold this button, it will activate the voice recognition software from your phone. So for Apple users, that's going to be Siri. For Android users, that's going to be your Google Assistant, or sometimes you can pick another assistant depending on the Android device that you are operating. So great feature. You can usually say, read me my last text message, call this person, or even send a text verbally by using that voice pass-through system. Below that is your hang up, or if you are not on a phone call, it will mute the radio for you. Beside that, we have our cruise control. This is our on-off button. You'll see that little white light on the driver information center. When that light is on, that means you can activate or engage your cruise control. When it's off, of course, none of these other buttons are going to work. To activate your cruise control, just push the set button at the bottom here, and then of course you have your resume at the top. Very cool feature that not a lot of people realize is both the set and resume button, when you're pushing them, they kind of have two positions. There's position 1 and position 2. You might even hear that click in the video. When you double click it, after you initially have it set, by double clicking it, it's going to go up by 5 kilometers an hour. So if you're driving on the highway and speed limit just went from 100 kilometers an hour to 110 kilometers an hour, 2 clicks will bring you all the way up from 100 to 110. And then likewise, if you're going through a construction zone and you want to reduce your speed limit or your setting quickly, you will just double press it and it'll go down by 5 kilometers per hour. You can still just do the single click and it'll go down by 1 kilometer an hour. Really great feature, one that not a lot of people are aware of. Moving over to the other side of the steering wheel, these are going to control our driver information center. We have the volume controls here, and our driver information center is what we're looking at right in behind the steering wheel here. So I'm going to scroll all the way back to our information page. That's the first menu you saw highlighted there in the top left. And as we go through our little Rolodex, you can see that white line on the right hand side kind of moving up and down. That's going to tell you where you are in your features pages. So right up at the top here, we do have their distance indicator, or our trip 1. Also gives you the distance and your fuel economy, which is kind of nice. In the top corner, it'll also let you know what mode the engine is running with. These engines have dynamic fuel management, so they will go from 4-cylinder to 6-cylinder and back and forth depending on how hard you're pushing the vehicle and what the climate control settings are like. Fuel range, currently we've got 108 kilometers allowable on this vehicle with the gas that we have. While I'm talking about the gas gauge, it's hard to tell how much gas is in the vehicle. That little dot tells us we have 1 bar of gas. So as the tank gets full, you'll see that those dots will accumulate along the side right here. And when you've got those dots all the way up to the top, that means you do have a full tank. Oil life, 98%. This vehicle does have an oil life monitor, although we do recommend still seeing the vehicle once every 6 months. If you did have to drive a little bit extra and your oil life monitor showed that you had lots of life left, you could continue to drive it. One note about using the oil life monitor as your only guide as to when you need to change your oil: please check your oil levels every single month. It's one of the reasons why we don't suggest going by the oil life monitor alone, is because most people aren't popping the hood and checking their oil levels on a monthly basis. Tire pressures, you'll notice tire pressures on these are not identical. They will change. There is not nitrogen in this vehicle, so tire pressures will go up and down depending on the exterior temperature as well as how long the vehicle has been driven for. What you're looking for is just ensuring that all those are in the green. Also, with your OnStar app, it will notify you if your tires start to go below what is recommended by the manufacturer. If you're looking for what your tire pressure should be, right on the side of the door is this yellow sticker. Looking at this vehicle here, they recommend 250 kilopascals or 36 pounds per square inch. I do know a lot of people that like to run it a little bit lower, just so you've got a bit of improved comfort, but you don't want to run it substantially lower than that, of course. Otherwise, you could risk causing some tire damage. As we go through the driver information center, our air filter, as the air filter starts to clog up, it will let you know that your air filter is due for a change. This one is at 95% right now. Fuel economy stats. So right now this is showing the average and the best out of 100 kilometers. The vehicle's only driven 87 kilometers. That's why it's not giving you the best scenario. I just hit the select button on the steering wheel right here, and we can either go in there and reset our best scores. We can also change the distances. So we know that we're not going to have 500 kilometers on this car. Let's just move it to 50. And now you can see that the average over the last 50 has been 14.2, and the average best average over 50 kilometers an hour, or sorry, over 50 kilometers has been 13.2. With such little mileage on the vehicle right now, I wouldn't say that these are accurate numbers. The more you drive the vehicle, the more accurate those numbers will become. There's a blank page, so if you just want to see, your speed across the top and nothing in the middle, you can clean up the display just by using the blank page. As we move across the top, there is currently no device connected. So that is the music. If we were listening to the radio, it would also auto-populate in there. Navigation, we don't currently have a navigation destination program, so it's just going to give us our compass and where we are right now. If we did have the navigation programmed, you'd be able to get your next turn and next direction information up there. There's our phone. If we did have a phone connected, when you make a phone call, you'll be able to get all the information for that phone call, who you're talking about, who you're talking to, not who you're talking about, who you're talking to, as well as the length of the call will display. And the last one is settings. This is where you would go and change from miles to kilometers. If you're doing some traveling, you can hit the set button. We are currently in metric. We can move to US. And now everything's changed to miles. So you'll notice your speedometer has changed to miles per hour. Also on the climate control settings, everything's changed from Celsius to Fahrenheit. I'm going to change that back quickly so nobody gets a ticket test driving this vehicle. We're in metric, and we'll go back. As we scroll down through here, info pages is that very first page that we looked at. You can turn on and off various different features. So if you prefer to have that second digital speedometer, we can add that. If you want a second trip odometer, that can be added, our fuel range, oil life, tire pressure, air filter life, fuel economy, average speed, timer in case you wanted to time a trip or a phone call. That can all be done through your vehicle. A couple of new features include your following distance indicator and your driver assistance. I'll show you that in a moment. Battery voltage, coolant temperature, transmission fluid, those all really important if you plan on towing with the vehicle, so you can keep an eye on the appropriate temperatures. Off-road mode, kind of funny that they have that in a Cadillac, but it doesn't surprise me that some of my customers are taking the Cadillac up to the cottage or even on various dirt roads. I'm going to go back and show you a couple of those features we just turned on. So this is off-road mode. It will show you whether the car is on an angle front to back or side to side. Also shows you when your steering wheel is turned, what degree your steering wheel is at. Not something that I think is important for a lot of customers, but most of my customers do find it a pretty cool feature. As we move up, this is our driver assistance. So when our forward collision alert, when our lane keep assist is on, this will all illuminate in green. You'll also see a similar smaller icon kind of near the top that will illuminate in green. Actually, it is right there in white, so it'll illuminate in green. That means the system is picking up enough information and is active. If you get too close to one line or the other, those lines will turn orange as we're driving with this system on. Tied into our forward collision alert is your following distance indicator. Once you're inside 2.5 seconds of following distance, it will let you know how far you are behind the car in front of you from a time perspective. So a couple cool features that weren't on some previous generations that are now active. Let's go back over to settings, just see if I missed anything. So digital speed, so we've got all of those infos. Speed warning. So this vehicle can be programmed just to maybe help save you a few dollars when it comes to speeding tickets. From the factory, they come default turned off. If we want to turn it on, I'm just going to press the select button, and now we can go up and down and pick what speed we want that speed warning to go on. So let's say we're doing, I don't know, in Canada you lose your license at 50 kilometers over, and our maximum speed limit is 125. So let's say we set this at 135. I hit select. As soon as this vehicle hits 135 kilometers an hour, you'll get a chime, ding ding, and an overspeed warning notification will show up on your dash. So as you get into some of the bigger cities, I know it's easy to creep up and start going faster. This is a great way to keep an eye on your speed limit. This, just a note, is a warning. It will not prevent you from going any faster. It'll just let you know that you're going faster than you thought you were. Heads up display. So you can adjust the rotation. This is new. I am not aware of that. So we can heads up display, adjust rotation. Oh, so we can turn it on a little bit of an angle if we don't feel that it's straight for us. Probably difficult to see, but I will get this back to 0, 0, 0. Perfect. And we'll hit OK. For some reason, if you want to turn off the speed limit sign, you could turn the speed limit sign off on the heads-up display. Let's move back. Software information, not something that you'll need in there. So that goes all the way through our settings menu in our driver information center. Let's move on over to our center stack. Wireless charger in here, which is really nice. If you don't have one, just make sure you've got a wireless charging compatible phone. They've also made these compartments a lot bigger than they used to be, so it should fit just about any phone, whereas the previous generation would not. Mode button, I'm going to press that a couple of times while we're looking at our driver information center. We have touring mode, all-wheel drive mode, sport mode, off-road mode. Touring mode is only front-wheel drive, and that will likely get you the best fuel economy. Then we have all-wheel drive if you want to minimize the amount of torque steer off the front wheels. and have a little extra safety. Sport mode, really great feature of sport mode. Most sporty cars and vehicles are rear-wheel drive based. A lot of the SUVs in the marketplace are front-wheel drive based. Because this vehicle is all-wheel drive and we can change where we want the power to come from, in sport mode it's going to give you more power from the back than you have from the front to make the vehicle feel like you're driving a performance vehicle, much more than in regular all-wheel drive or even front-wheel drive mode. Off-road mode, we talked about heading out to the cottage. If you're going to be on loose gravel, off-road mode is going to give you the best all-wheel drive performance. Button beside the mode is your traction control and stability control. Those can be turned off, although in this vehicle you'll likely leave it on all the time. The only reason you may want to turn off traction control is if you actually got stuck and you were trying to rock back and forth and dig yourself out of the hole or the divot. That's probably the only reason you would ever want to turn traction control off. Moving into the center, we have our new control for our radio. And it's going to be hard for me to get this all in one picture, but you can turn the dial, you can click the dial side to side, up and down, and then of course you can push the dial and hold it down. So this will take a little bit of getting used to. You'll notice that there's this little down arrow right here. That means we can pull the whole unit down, and then now we have arrows in every direction, so we can move over to sound, for example. I'm going to click down on sound, and then this is where we would change our equalizer, our balance and fade. So I'm turning the dial to get to those other units, and let's say we want to move over to balance and fade. I'm going to click it over. Oops, balance and fade. First click it down, then click over, and we can adjust it from here. So again, it will take a little bit of getting used to. We'll move back in through here. So the radio display can be controlled either by the dial or you can use the touchscreen. You've got two different choices. A really nice way to make sure that you're using the vehicle the way that feels most comfortable to you. Over here we do have some speed buttons. We have music, navigation, telephone, and then this is our back button. Above that we have our volume for our radio, and then we can sort through our presets using these buttons. And turn that back down. While we're looking at the shifter, shift button is located on the side. To make the vehicle move out of park, you're going to want to use that shift button. Otherwise, you're going to get that notification. So all the way up into reverse, you'll notice our 360 camera is now displayed. Also, we have the lines for our backup camera. Down at the bottom here, you can actually change which camera you want to look at. That's our front camera right now. So we have our regular angle, our wide angle, our hitch or top-down view for the front, top-down view for the back. This is really great if you're pulling up to a curb. You want to make sure that you're not going to hit it. I'm not quite sure what this can be used for, but from the front view, it does look pretty cool looking at your vehicle and seeing everything beside you and behind you. This is going to show the front wheels and rear wheels. Really great feature if you think you're getting too close to that curb and you want to make sure you don't curb your wheels. And then our lines can be turned on and off for when we're in reverse and looking at our reverse camera with the grid lines. So a couple of great features. I'm going to go ahead and actually, before I put the vehicle in the park, I'm going to move us back into drive, and then I want to talk about manual mode. So if we go back again, it's going to go from drive to manual mode. In the display up here, it's going to say M1. Now, once in a while, you're going to end up in this mode by accident. You're going to be driving the vehicle, and it's not going to be changing gears. If that happens, simply just tap it back again, and it moves you into drive mode. If you want to stay in manual mode and change the gears, these are the paddles that are going to do it for you. So it's not letting me go over gear number 1 because we are parked, but we have down gears over here and up gears over here. Move the vehicle back into park. Just a quick note, if you turn off the car and forget to put it into park, the vehicle will put itself into park. Also, if you've got your seatbelts on, you're in the car, you thought you put the vehicle in park, take your seatbelt off, open the driver door. As soon as you take your foot off the brake, the car will put its electronic emergency brake on and shift the vehicle into park. So a couple of really great safety features that have been integrated into the transmission of this Cadillac. Moving up, this is our climate control system. There are a couple of different ways you can access your climate control system. You hit the phone home button on the radio, and we have our climate control. So you can activate the hard buttons down here or the soft buttons on the touch screen. Nice thing is everything's pretty self-explanatory. Ventilated seats, heated seats, temperature up and down for both sides, and then you can have your fan either individually adjusted, or I should say manually adjusted, or you can use the automatic, which is going to move your fan speed up or down depending on the temperature in the vehicle. Moving on up, let's spend a little bit of time on the radio. I'm just going to pull this off so it's a little bit easier to see. Across the bottom, mute button, home button, and our near field communication. So Apple's not quite there yet, but a lot of Android phones have near field communication. Setting up your phone via Bluetooth, very, very easy using your near field communication. The home button, something that I'm going to use quite a bit. I like the home button because it brings you back to all of your home screens. You can see the button, the dot kind of going back and forth between the three different home screens. Right now we're listening to the radio, and we have our navigation system. To get a full navigation picture, we can either jump to the navigation system using this button, or we can just click on the navigation picture. Very intuitive system when it comes to how the radio works and the navigation. I'm going to use a one-line entry for an address just to do a demonstration. So I'm from London, Ontario, especially in London, Ontario. We've got all these smaller cities around us, and oftentimes we won't know what city the navigation has that street in. So for example, Central Elgin, that could be somewhere close to Elmer. It could be St. Thomas. This vehicle has it listed as Central Elgin. Lucan, very close to London. Some addresses near Lucan would be listed as London. So by doing the one-line address, you're going to be able to get to your results faster. And you'll notice it's all listed by distance. We can work our way down. Maybe we wanted to go to Lambton Shores. We can see what direction it is in and approximately how many kilometers away it is. Really great feature, that one-line address. If you can't find what you're looking for in the one-line address, add more information. So we're going to back out of that. This is our settings button within our navigation, so we can change how we want the display to read, either 3D, 2D, or north up if you're used to reading a traditional map. And then you've got some other features within the mapping system. We can get into settings, and you can set up your preferences and my places, how your voice control works for your navigation, and alert preferences. I'm going to go back to our home button. You'll notice there's two home buttons, one here and one here. They do the same thing. It's just which button works best for you. Going into our audio system, we played around a little bit with this while we were using the jog dial down here. Across the top, you have your radio presets. You've got the different sources that you want to listen to. If your source is not listed here, for example, right now we don't see XM, we're just going to hit the More button. And now we can see that we have access to XM and also Spotify. If you don't see Spotify on your vehicle, it is an app that you're going to download through the App Store. This allows you to use Spotify in the vehicle wirelessly. It's going to take the music information and use the data from your cell phone to allow you to listen to Spotify without actually touching your phone. So programming a radio station, just push and hold. That's one way to program a radio station. I'm going to move over to XM right now, and we're going to browse, and let's say we'll look at some pop music. Hopefully the channels auto-populate shortly. While we're waiting for that to populate, the radio might not actually be active. News and sports. There we go. I was looking for a list. All right, I didn't find the feature I was looking for, but when I do see it again, I will let you know. This is also our XM360. So you'll notice this will operate a lot differently than some of your previous XM stations. They actually have podcasts that are now built in that we can look for. And again, this vehicle is not active yet, so it's not allowing me to do everything that I want to do. Let's go back to our home screen. We talked a little bit about the audio phones. We can connect our Bluetooth phones right here. Great feature on the phone system is we can now connect to more than one phone at a time. You'll have a primary phone, which is used for incoming and outgoing calls. Then you will have a secondary phone, which would be incoming phone calls only. Great feature to be able to travel and have two phones connected at the same time. Wi-Fi hotspot. When you activate your OnStar, you will get 1 month of complimentary Wi-Fi. You get 1 month or 3 gigs, whichever comes first. Great feature if you want to leave it active all the time and pay a monthly subscription. However, I have noticed a lot of customers don't use it on a regular basis, but love it when they go on a long trip. You can purchase 10 gigs and you can use that while you're doing your travels. Users, something I highly recommend setting up. Use your email address that you used for OnStar and the same password, and you will be able to program a lot of the stuff or save a lot of the stuff that you program in the vehicle. And you can use that in your next Cadillac. You can use that if you're renting a vehicle out of town. It takes everything or a lot of the things that you have programmed inside of the vehicle as far as user settings and then applies them to the next vehicle that you're in. While we're talking about settings, system, applications, and vehicle. System, time, date, language, phones, Wi-Fi networks. Once you have those set up, you'll likely make no changes. Applications is your Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and apps like that Spotify app I had showed you about. Then you've got your vehicle. This is where you're going to spend the most time, and I do ask that everybody go through sort of option by option to set up the features and the way they want their vehicle to work. For example, collision detection systems. This vehicle has that forward collision alert we talked about, and it can either notify you with your safety alert seat, or it can notify you using beeps. Going into our system, we can turn that alert off completely if you don't want it. We can also have it just alert and not do any braking. Now, a little note about forward collision alert and automatic braking. I've been driving GM vehicles for quite some time. I've gotten really used to the system. I've not yet been in a position where I felt the vehicle brake automatically. My foot has always been faster than the alert and brake. So I get the alert, I hit the brakes. I've never gotten to the point where the brake has kicked in. Reading through General Motors owner's manual, it does state that the brake will minimize the severity of the impact. So although there is a chance it will prevent the impact altogether, your foot will hopefully work faster than the automatic braking system. Front pedestrian detection and alert. From time to time over here you will see a little picture of a man walking. That means the car is picking up somebody that could possibly walk into your path. If the car feels that that person is going to walk in your path, it will hit the brakes, or I should say it can hit the brakes to prevent you from hitting that pedestrian. Lane change alert is turned on. That's your blind spot monitors. If somebody's in your blind spot or rapidly approaching your blind spot, you will get the notification in the mirror on both the driver and passenger side. Rear cross traffic is something that not a lot of us talk about, but imagine backing out of a parking space and you can't see looking out of your mirrors, and in the rear view camera, we don't see anything in the rear view camera. But there's somebody driving, walking, or riding a bike from either the right or the left. There'll be a notification that shows up on the side here, letting you know what side somebody is coming from. You'll also get the vibration in your safety alert seat. Great feature to have. Rear pedestrian detection, very similar feature to the front pedestrian detection. And that's just the collision detection system menu. Comfort and convenience. We can change the chime volume. We can change how the hands-free liftgate works. Tilt mirror in reverse, great feature. I'm going to turn it on the passenger side here just for a demonstration. And as we go into a reverse, you'll see that mirror will tilt down. So it's a little bit easier to see the lines on the road or the curb if you were parallel parking. And then as we go back into drive, it will tilt itself back up. That you can turn on and off on both the driver and passenger mirror. One of the reasons I don't like doing the driver mirror is if you were parallel parking, you're not going to be able to see the traffic that might be coming behind you. So just a personal preference. This is your vehicle. You can set it up the way that works best for you. Rain sense wipers currently turned on, and auto wipe in reverse. If you have your windshield wipers on and you put the vehicle in reverse, the rear wiper will pass once, just so that you've got increased visibility through the back of the vehicle. Lighting, you can decide how long you want to keep the lights on for when you exit the vehicle. Seating position, this is those memory seat features we talked about previously. You can turn those on and off. Teen driver, the other day, somebody was driving a Mercedes-Benz 300 kilometers an hour on the highway. By activating Teen Driver, you can ensure that will not happen on your vehicle. A couple of great features. I'm just going to log in here, and you can set your own PIN number on your vehicle. These are some of the things that it's going to track once you have your Teen Driver key programmed. Distance driven, maximum speed, over speed warnings, all of the advanced safety features, how many times they kicked in, are going to be listed on that report card. And of course, you can clear that report card. Key setup, this is going to let you know how to set up a key. That key will always be the Teen Driver key. A couple other notes about Teen Driver is when it is active, you won't be able to put the radio up all the way. The radio won't work unless your seatbelt is fastened. It sets the maximum speed of the vehicle at 136 kilometers per hour. And gives you the option to program a couple of things as we had seen there. Valet mode will lock the radio, so you don't have access, or others don't have access to your radio stations, any Bluetooth information if your phone is connected, or your previous navigation directions. Let's go back to our home screen. Oh, I think I missed a couple of things here in vehicle. This one is important. Lock, unlock, remote start. So passive door lock is a great feature on this vehicle. We can set the vehicle to lock itself automatically. This one here is currently set to lock and have a quick horn chirp about 10 seconds after you leave the vehicle. If you love the locking feature and don't like the horn chirp, you can turn that off. And if you want to conventionally lock your vehicle all the time, just hit off, and then you will have to lock and unlock it yourself. While we're talking about the locking system, I just wanted to take a look quickly on the outside. You can see on this other Cadillac beside me here, this is your lock button. It is on all four doors of the vehicle. And so you can push that to lock and push that to unlock. If your passive unlock feature is set to driver door only, if you double click that button on the side of the door, it will open up all of the doors. Single click will do just the driver door. So I think I've hit on the main ones here. Like I said, this is this vehicle menu. You're going to want to go through here and spend some time to set up the vehicle in the best way for yourself. That's one of the nice things about setting up the Cadillac. Off to the side here, I'll mention these quickly. Parking sensors, you can turn those off. If you had a trailer hitch on the back, you probably wouldn't want to keep your parking sensors on. Auto start stop, This is when the engine turns off, when the vehicle comes to a complete stop. If you don't like this feature, you want to turn it off. Very easily done here. With the light off, the system is off. There we go. And then parking. Let's put the vehicle in drive. We're going to hit the park button. This is your automatic parking system. You can do parallel parking, perpendicular parking. You can park on the right, or you can park on the left. I'm not going to demonstrate that, but a really great feature. I do find personally I can park faster myself, but in those cases where I'm unsure if I'm going to fit, this car is actually scanning to try and find the appropriate sized spot to park your car. So give it a try. Be cautious the first few times, and if you ever want to see it demonstrated in person, I'm happy to do that for you at the dealership. I'm going to go back to our home button, put the vehicle in park, disengage. Perfect. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, we talked about that a little bit earlier. To get those features to work, you'll want to use the USB port in the center console. Apple phones, they're just plug and play. Android phones, you will need to go to the Play Store and download your Android Auto app. Speaking of apps, that's where you get more apps from General Motors. Currently, you've got the Spotify app you can download. There's also a weather app and a Glimpse app. OnStar, you'll want to update your activate your OnStar system. You get 10 years of complimentary coverage, and if you're looking for full coverage, you get up to 3 months when you do activate your OnStar phone, which is right up here. Camera, you can activate the camera while driving. It will only activate the rear camera. That's just a way for you to check on the back of the vehicle if you had a trailer connected and wanted to make sure that everything was connected the way it should be. Climate control we talked about. The My Cadillac app, same app you have on your phone, just a little easier to access while in the vehicle. And before I forget, we'll talk up here. This is your interior alarm system. So if you had the vehicle locked, all the windows open, and the alarm system turned on, somebody reached inside, this would trigger the alarm. Also, if you left someone or one of your animals in the vehicle, even for a short period of time, if they're moving around, they're going to be able to trigger that alarm. Program your garage door opener. The easiest way to do that is to take your garage door opener, push and hold the button, push and hold this button until that flash pattern changes, and that will program your garage door opener. It may work right away. You may have to follow the learn process on your garage door opener, that box on the roof in your garage. If you have any additional questions, please let me know. Sunroof, we have the shade and the sunroof, so you can pull it all the way open from here and open and close the shade from here. Interior lights, always on, always off. And then of course, right now it is going to turn on if you open the doors. If you don't want it to turn on, you can push this button. OnStar, that's the button you're going to press to get your 10 years of complimentary coverage. Then you have your hang up button and SOS, which is kind of like 911, but if it's an emergency and you don't feel you should call 911, you can use that button on an active OnStar vehicle. And lastly, I did say I was going to touch base on the rear view mirror. You'll notice there's a few buttons on the bottom. We're going to turn our mirror camera on. This is going to allow us to move through our different settings. So we've got brightness, zoom, and angle. Angle is going to allow us to position that mirror exactly where we want it from a visibility standpoint. Brightness, of course, self-explanatory. I do like the lowest setting, but if you want the most brightness, you can turn it up. And the last one is zoom. Some people don't want to see the widest angle that you can get. They want it to look a little more like a conventional rear view mirror, and so zooming in is going to do that. So I'm sure I've missed a few things. We're just shy of 45 minutes going through this Cadillac XT5 Platinum. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any more questions, please let me know. Thanks so much and have a great day.